Super excited for Spirit Eye today. Yeah,
Yes.
super excited. Um, so I, of course, have a poem that I would love to enter with. There's so many good things, so many good poems. And this poem, my friend Cedar gave this to me, and it's
Um,
Poetry of Presence. I love the egret on the front. And in the Basque culture or tradition, in the mystical tradition, the egret is the one who brings the blessings.
oh,
Yeah. So it's Phyllis Cole, Dye, and Ruby R. Wilson are the editors. But this is a poem by Pablo Neruda called "Keeping Quiet," and um, I think that when we're thinking about the spirit eye, when we're thinking about these different ways of seeing, that silence is one of the things that helps us to gain awareness or have awareness of what's happening, where it's going. So we have to
right.
have awareness, which I think requires some silence.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was kind of my reasoning in choosing this poem. But Keeping Quiet, Pablo Neruda, translation by Alastair Reed. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic moment, without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk out with their brothers in the shade, doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go.
That's a nice poem. Makes you think of all kinds of things.
Yeah, I bet your kids would like this.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
Like being still or being silent, being quiet. I feel like that wakes all your senses up too, not
Mm,
just your eyes, or your third eye, but
mhm.
it also being silent and being quiet and still, um, it quiets the mind and it can bring forth what you hear, what connection you bring, like images or messages but even before all that, you have to really make that connection.
Yeah.
Because, sometimes we, I don't know if we intentionally do it, um, but we shut our third eye,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
because we don't, we get scared if we see something, we hear something, or, whatever it is, we resist in seeing, hearing, or feeling. So then we end up shutting our third eye. And then if it's still coming forth, then we put more barriers over our third eye, and we just have a bunch of coverings over it. And then we're not able to, we just not able to connect or see or feel or hear. So it's, really making that connection.
Yeah. It's interesting that there has been this, like, that we're able to connect with the soul of the world. I call it like the atmospheric self, the
Right.
soul, and the atmospheric self, the ability to really notice what's happening with our soul, that we're being held by our soul, we're connected to this invisible wonder that
Mm,
that is, yeah, causing us to make motions and movements. And but this soul is made up of many different things.
right.
And I think that, the four major things, the first of those is this spirit eye, this Tawan. And I remember my mom used to tell me, like, oh, your Tawan, your spirit eye can go out and it can, like, visit people, places, things. That can, like, travel and go places. And she said, so you want to make sure to call it back in the morning, right? So that it's not, like, out and about, like, looking at things. And maybe there's things that it probably shouldn't be looking at, that it's like, it shouldn't want to see, or, which we were kind of talking a little bit about before the session, like, before our talk today. But I think that, this sacred seeing, like, I liked what you said earlier. You were like, oh, everybody has this gift of sacred seeing. We
Mhm.
all carry that. And
Yeah.
so, how do we take care of this sacred, like, sensitivity, this ability
Right.
to see, and this ability to know what is invisible or not even come into form yet?
Right.
So, yeah, how to work with that, you know, and as a blessing and as a challenge,
Yeah.
talking about that earlier, like, wow, that's, and I mean, my seeing, I remember, just there was a day where I was like, oh, this is just a blessing. This is only a blessing. And it has its challenges. This gift of seeing. Yeah. So I think that it's what stirs in that silence, right?
Yeah. Isn't it crazy how like silence can bring so much if
Right.
we're just quiet? But we always feel we have to say something or just be in the way.
Yeah. Just, a little bit in the way.
And maybe, maybe that's a part of like not making that connection with the third eye, is just being in the way
Mm-hmm.
and, just sitting with yourself. Who are you? And I think even like, how we have the intuition of knowing things, and sometimes we second guess ourselves, like, oh, that can't be, or is that true? Or, and it's like trusting yourself, I think also strengthens that.
Yeah.
But I know that's a work in progress too. Trusting yourself and trusting that your connection or your messages or whatever comes forth is real.
Yeah, that you're being given a gift,
Hmm.
you know, we're being blessed when when we're seeing. And yeah. And it's kind of like in my leadership course that I teach, I talk about how, like, in organizations, one of the things they found is that the people who trust, because the intuition also lives in the gut,
Yeah.
you know, and so they'll say, oh, well, what, how come you made that choice? You had such a big success with that choice. They're like, I trusted my gut. I just knew to trust what I was feeling, and I knew it was the right way to go, which is really how we find our way, is through that kind of guidance. And
Right.
so I think the Tawan, or the spirit eye, is taking care of us, is looking out for us, it's like the keeper of our soul,
Right.
and that intuition, those feelings are needed for us.
Right. Isn't it kind of cool how, our intuition is in our gut, but our third eye is here. And then through our connection, we're able to see things. And that's all alignment through you,
Yeah,
through your body.
through these power centers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that's through the heart and the gut and the throat and the that beautiful place of seeing,
Hmm.
of perception. Um, yeah, I was wondering, I had a couple of wonderings, about sacred sensitivity. I mean, that's what I think it is a sacred sensitivity. And
Yeah.
so I'm just wondering, Issa, about, what are some ways that you found to, like, take care of that sacred sensitivity, but also to kind of cultivate it.
Yeah.
I mean, besides arguing with it, like,
Right.
I mean, that's not really managing it very, as well as we could, but just to, just what are your thoughts about that? I'm curious.
I guess trusting it, how when things come up and you're like, do I, you could be going someplace and it's like, oh, something comes up and it's like, oh, bring that bag, and you're like, bring that bag. Okay. And then
Right.
you have to trust that. And then, okay, so if you don't trust it and you go and you're like, oh, I should have brought that bag, you're still learning, even if you don't trust it at the very beginning, you're learning now. But if you bring that bag and you're like, I don't know why I'm bringing it, but then you go and you're like, oh, this is why I needed that bag, so it's trusting that intuition of what comes forth. A lot of times I don't do it. I'm really bad
Right.
at resisting because I second guess myself, you know? So I'm learning to, like,
Mm,
just trust and go with it. And it's telling you for a reason. Um, I also, to take care of whatever comes forth, I usually give thanks all the time.
yeah. Oh, that's such a good, yeah.
Yeah, especially if I do listen, I'm like, oh, thank you so much for guiding me. It's a
Mm,
lot of guiding that they do. Um, and also I'm always like, I should have listened. I knew I should have listened,
yeah.
but
Oh,
just
yeah.
acknowledging them,
Yeah.
acknowledging them and yourself. Cause I feel like it's a team effort, you know, it's you and your intuition, but you have all these others that are helping you move through your journey, through your guide.
That's beautiful.
So I'm never by myself, even though sometimes you feel like you're alone and you're by yourself, it's like you have
Oh,
so many people from the other side that are like guiding you and giving you all these messages, and it's like taking care of that and listening and
mhm.
just trusting and acknowledging them through the right and wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, you know, even when we make a wrong choice, we're still learning. We're still learning through that.
Yeah, it's like I'm learning, you're learning, everybody's learning. And I love that care of the sacred sensitivity through that listening. And because in the silence, what do you do? But you listen to the great mystery. You listen
Right.
to, and we like to know things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
We gotta know things.
oh, things, yeah. So what if we don't have to know all the things,
Right. Yeah.
you know? And and what does that mean? And that means, oh, we could listen and be tuning in a different way, and respecting that, and I think respecting also just the that we need to be cultivating these different ways of living,
Yeah.
you know and that I was reading uh, a little bit in my mom's book today about how we really need to be connected to the earth,
Yeah.
and um, yeah, we need to be taking care of one another, and I feel like uh, I mean, I'm really hoping that there can be a way that we can remember how to do this. I I mean, I know that even I have really strong opinions where I get wrapped up more in my opinion than in the person that's with me,
Yeah.
or I'll get wrapped in my, blanket of rightness or whatever. Like that
Right.
I'm right and the other person isn't, but I think what happens is what I try to do, which I'm not always successful at, but I try to like say, why am I, it's what there's a, what is it? It's like wait, WAIT, and it's like, why am I talking? Then I can be
Mm.
like, oh, why am I talking?
Yeah.
What am I talking for? And am I remembering who I am? You know? And so I think that the sacred sensitivity like remembers who we are.
Right.
And when we go into those moments of, or into those times where we get off track in our personhood or in who we are, our humanity, or the loved ones around us, I think remembering that sacred sensitivity could be really helpful in our homes, in our communities, I mean, globally. I mean, gee, we could really use some just ability to see things in
Yeah.
a different way and other perspectives. So
Right.
I'm also thinking of that, thinking
Mm.
of vision and sacred, being sensitive and to others' needs. And then there's this ability to know things that we don't know how we know,
Right.
learn that, um, and I think some of that is epigenetic, some of that is coming from our ancestors. But yeah, I'm really curious about the cultivation, and yeah, the cultivation and protection, even, or cultivation and like remembering of this sacred sensitivity, this ability,
Right.
this spirit eye, or yeah, way of seeing things.
You know what comes up for me is like remembering the sacred sensitivity, or the spirit eye. It's like, are we even whole if we don't remember that?
No, I don't think we are.
You know?
Yeah, I don't.
And so then it's okay, well, the next question is how do we become whole, or how do we become balanced for ourselves to feel that sacred sensitivity or the third eye and making those connections? Because we get wrapped up in being human and just human, just
Yeah.
routine and going, and we're not like full whole, you know we're not just our human body plus our spirit and our
Mm.
soul. We're not working together. It's just, I'm human right now. I'm just going.
So what is that? I'm a being. It's like how to be a being and not a doing,
Yeah.
you know? But also what Pablo Neruda is saying here in these, what is it, these last couple of, here in the middle of the poem is more about like what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. So it's like, oh, life is what it's about. And what is a real victory? I mean, I think that wholeness, we're moving toward that wholeness, that
Right.
the soul wants to move toward wholeness, and when we do reach that eventually, hopefully, but how do we attend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just being in, I don't even want to say just being in routine, because we're in routine as it is, but how do you help yourself be whole, and what activities or spiritual activities, I guess, because that's what's going to make us be all whole,
Mm.
is like, do you get up and meditate? Do you get up and just sit in silence
Mm.
and observe?
Yeah.
Are you aware of what's around you?
Yeah. I love that. And what is sacred to you? I think that that's another question we can ask ourselves, like, what is sacred to me? And each of us as individuals is going to have something different, right?
Right.
So it's like, and I think of these are really beautiful. I got these. Oh, this is a card that I got, and there's a couple of them. It's like thank you and celebration,
Aww.
right? And this is a modern surrealistic. Up there, surrealistic. And she is an artist, and she does this beautiful Arabic calligraphy, and it's just, oh, I just love them. I have them right here on my desk. And then one of my nephews did this, which I just love, right? And it's, I think that there's just something about, I think that the sacred sensitivity, or the sacred sensitive within each of us, is also an artist,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and
Yeah.
and wants to create something good, true and beautiful, good, true and lasting.
Yeah.
I love her little mark down there too. That's just
And I think that, like, it's not, just being an artist is being creative.
right. There's a lot going on in the right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I love that she puts them in all different directions, and
Mm-hmm.
this is like flowing. So yeah, it's just so beautiful to see that that flow that wants to come through each of us from that
Right.
that healing place,
Yeah.
you know. So I would just wonder, like, um, if we could ask people, like, what is it that happens for you when you just even reflect on what it means to have a sacred sensitivity, or what it means, even if you like take the word spirit and then I, and what those things mean to you, and just to look at, like, what is this for me?
Right.
What is this? How do I feel about this? And really just seeing it as another opportunity to explore the spirit,
Yeah.
which gives us healing.
Right. And it kind of, before we were talking about what is the DNA of our third
Yeah,
eye,
yeah,
and so, there's people that are going to be really artsy, like, make those
yeah.
paintings, and
Mm,
there's going to be people that are going to use their voice, and that could be in different many ways, could be
yeah.
singing or just speaking. Sometimes people don't even speak and just know.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what the viewers, what their DNA sacred sensitivity is.
Yay. Let us know, you guys. So
Yeah.
just let us know in the comments below, and um, that would be great. And is there anything that you wanted to send them off with today?
Mhm. Use your voice,
Mhm.
follow and lead with your heart, and connect. Connect with who you are, because who you are is going to evolve into who you're meant to be.
Yeah, for sure. So next week we're going to be with Nia, which is the breath. So um, we'll be talking about the breath, which is the second aspect of the soul. The soul is made up of 4 parts. So we look forward to talking with you next week about the breath. Thank you, Issa.
Oh, thank you.
It's a gift to be with you any day.